One of the things that came out of the debate on the economy last evening is an official costing for what the JLP is proposing in reducing the personal income tax rate from 25% to 15%. How much will that cost? The finance minister revealed last night that based on analysis from her technical staff, they are projecting that it will cost the government between $25 and $30 billion.
Our number, based on the technocrats who did it, put it at between 25 to $30 billion. That's our number. That is doable. We are the party that did the 1.5 in a responsible way. We are the party that moved the threshold from 1.5 to 1.7 to 1.8. Next year will be 1.9 and then 2.0.
Favour Williams, the finance minister, but her opposition counterpart, Julian Robinson, he also said that the PNP's plan to increase the income tax threshold will cost $55 billion.
Now, no political party implements every single thing in 1 year. So we are going to ensure that the implementation is done, which protects the fiscal sacrifices that have been made and will ensure that the adjustments are consistent with the budget. So it's $55 billion that this particular program will cost.
So there you have it, from the fisticuffs and the attack and counter-attack last night. The government's plan to cut the base rate from 25 to 15% on a phased basis over the next term is between 25 and $30 billion, while the PNP's plan to increase the rate, the threshold, to 3.5 is to cost $55 billion. Yes? Favour Williams last night described what Julian Robinson said as the biggest political scam being perpetrated on the country. Yeah? All right. Yesterday we also spoke with the junior minister, the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr. And one of the things that is not being widely reported is the announced plan to give senior citizens a break to lift their income tax threshold to $6 million. So if you are 60, 65 and over, yeah, we soon get there, yeah, we won't be asked to pay taxes so long as your earnings do not exceed $6 million. Listen to what Pernell Charles says. He says they've costed it and they've done the necessary calculations.
I don't want to give you any specific timelines. What I can tell you is that yes, we have costed it, and yes, as we have done in the past, all of the various commitments that we have made, we have established to the country that we have the economic plan and the formula to ensure that those commitments are incrementally and steadily applied so that we can do what we can afford. And so when the Jamaica Labour Party says that we are going to offer exemption from income tax for all earnings from employment and pension for persons who are age 65 and above, we will do it.
But Minister Charles was not able to provide a timeline for implementing that, or the revenue that the government will have to give up, yeah, to implement this proposal. What will it cost in terms of giving up of revenue? That's the question Siobhan is asking.
I don't have the specific figures now, and I don't want to get caught in giving you any wrong figures. I'd rather leave that to the Ministry of Finance. But what I do have is the general policies and programs that we have applied and the general policies and programs that we will apply. And the basis of it, income tax relief is one element of relief for our seniors.
Colonel Charles Jr., and we have to keep up the pressure on them. So when they're sitting down and thinking how they're going to come and curry favor with the voter, they must do the homework. Yes? Do the homework. How are you going to implement it? What will you have to give up to finance it? Yeah? So we hear 25, 30 billion, $55 billion. Where's that money coming from? What will you have to cut? It means you have to do less road repairs. You have to slow down the building of the hospital. What are you going to give up to be able to get it done? And that is where we have to put the pressure on them to answer those questions so they don't come with these pie in the sky sounding nice. You see there? You can't tell me how much. Yeah. The same Minister Charles yesterday afternoon was very, very candid when I asked him about his poor performance in the debate last Saturday. I was taken by surprise when he responded this way.
I went in there completely exhausted. The reality is, sometimes you think you're Superman, but you learn that you need to sleep before you take a national stage. Not hearing the questions properly, rambling in answering. I take full responsibility for what I think was a lackluster performance on my part. What I did was to make a decision to settle my mind, not rush to answer anything, and to focus on giving a solid closing. I think I gave a solid closing. Hopefully in the future, that experience will guide me and assist me to be stronger, more effective, and better in responding and better prepared in terms of handling that kind of matter. But I really appreciate my teammates. I think Massey did a fabulous job. I think Kamina is just a simply amazing person. She is a walking manifest. And that's why we are a team. You know, I will have my good days and my bad days. That wasn't my greatest or finest moment. Thankfully, God allowed me to get back some energy and put forward what I think was a fair closing, but that's why we're a team.
You know, you have to give him credit. Yeah? He was very, very candid. He didn't try to beat around the bush and to try and deny or, you know. That is what we need. That level of candor. Yeah? To go up on a debate in front of 2 potential million people watching, you know, on television, under the lights, being questioned, is not easy. And some people can manage it, some people can't. Yeah? So when I heard Colonel Charles Jr., I have to say, big up yourself, Colonel. I really, really admire that. Respect you, sir. Yeah? Because they're under pressure. Yeah, but that's what leadership is about. Being able to perform under pressure. That's why some of us go into politics. Some say, you know, I'll stay around the microphone. Yeah. Some go do law. Or some go do medicine. Yeah. Because and everybody cut out for the politics. Yeah, and everybody cut out for it, and everybody can do it. Talking about that, I see where Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister, has been campaigning now on the road for like 15, 16 hours a day. My team members here point out to me that he's going up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You can see him live on TikTok. Yesterday he was in St. Mary, and I gather when I came off the live that Roby showed me how to join. Yeah, they must show me how to do it. Yeah. Roby hooked me up. And then a little later, after the debate last night was over. After 11, we ended the show last night. I hear he was still in St. Mary on the road. Now, that is hard work. Yeah? And one of the things he said yesterday, yeah, was that nothing is free. And he was issuing a warning to the voters to be careful about the PNP's proposal to raise the income tax threshold to $3.5 million if it forms the next government.
You may have heard about a proposal to increase the income tax threshold to $3.5 million per employed individual. I want to say to you that nothing is free. If you did that, that would cost twice the cost of the Spark program. It would mean that you would have to give up fixing 660 roads twice across Jamaica in order to pay for that. All right? If you don't want to give that up, then what else would you give up? Water, hospital, what we spend on the police, youth murders? These are all questions that every well-thinking Jamaican must ask.
That was the Prime Minister speaking in St. Mary yesterday. He also warned that the PNP's irresponsible promises will lead to increased debt and more taxes.
We as a government have been able to increase spending on road, water, healthcare, education, and national security. And we have managed to do that without increasing the debt. If you increase the debt, you're going to have to pay it back. And if you have to pay it back, you have to pay it back from somewhere. And that means they will ask you for more taxes. We have come to you with 10 budgets actually, and we have not asked you to pay any new taxes. I want you to consider that. And that is because we have been very careful that the things that we promise you and the things that we spend on are things that won't come back to put burdens on you.
The Prime Minister is urging voters not to destroy the hard-won fiscal gains of the last decade.
I ask all well-thinking Jamaicans, we have gone through a difficult time a decade ago. We all sacrificed to put in place something called fiscal discipline. That means good management of the economy. Do not let it go to waste over stupid promises.
Prime Minister on the political hustings. Yes, confronting an issue that has arisen. Will the Jamaican voter believe and accept the PNP's 3.5 or not? Yes? In the meantime, the private sector organization of Jamaica is calling on the two major political parties to publish the detailed implementation plans and projections for how their proposed promises would affect the economy. Yeah? The PSOJ says the parties must publish the 5-year revenue impacts and financing measures. In other words, how it's going to affect the revenues and how you're going to finance what you have to give up. According to the PSOJ, the parties must also disclose the sequencing and start dates for their plans, as well as the debt and primary balance implications. It says both the JLP and the PNP must reveal the distributional effects their plans will have across income bands. The PSOJ is also calling for the parties to disclose the contingency triggers they would put in place in the event economic growth underperforms. Yeah? And it reiterates that it is committed to dialogue to ensure that any tax relief is transparent, fiscally sustainable, and supports economic growth. In other words, any increase in the income tax threshold is sustainable and responsible and will end up biting you 6 months down the road when you hear say, well, the government have to go impose taxes to pay for it. All right, time for the break.